What's going on, guys? Welcome back to United View. Manchester United won, Everton won, more points dropped at Old Trafford, more points dropped in the league. Of course, the last game at Old Trafford was Aston Villa, which we lost 1-0. Now it's the last game for the international break, and we've drawn 1-1 with Everton. I'm here with Jack today. Jack, broad strokes. I mean, we'll get into all of the finer details as the game as it goes on, but what did you make of that?
I think it comes down to, if one word from me to sum up that kind of 90 minutes, Owen, would definitely be ruthlessness. I think we need to, I still think we're lacking a cutting edge, and you can't believe it with the players we've got on show. But I think today proved that even, we'll obviously go into the passages of play and whatever we created today. But I think what was glaringly obvious is that even when we get chances, like playing down the wing and trying to cross the ball, and it's just that lack of cutting edge. And that's ultimately why we didn't get the second goal when we were 1-0 up, and ultimately why we didn't get the 3 points, in my opinion. I think it was a much more... It's hard to really put this. I'm not really going to put this whole performance on Ollie. I'm not going to sit here and because there will obviously be the reactionary FC people that, Ollie out. And I have said my opinion on this channel, and I still stand by that. Yeah, I still stand by that. I'm not going to, but when you see what's in front of you, I think there were signs of a bit more attacking tenaciousness. I think we were trying to be a bit more pragmatic with our play. But as we'll go into, the opposition, Everton, thoroughly deserved their point in the end. And I just think, for me, the one word is definitely ruthlessness. I think we just really need to be more clinical in and around the 18-yard box for me.
I don't know if you've seen, as you were coming in here, we've just been setting up, but did you see that Ronaldo stormed down the tunnel? Didn't shake anyone's hand.
I didn't see that. What happened?
So obviously full-time whistle goes. Ronaldo's not happy, and he just walks down the tunnel. Looks very upset. I appreciate that he is, upset because he cares. And a lot of times in modern day football, there's not enough people that care, unfortunately. So I appreciate that. Do you see that? I mean, obviously you said you haven't seen it, so it's difficult to pass a bit of a judgment on it. But do you see that as something like that's something that's going to start to bubble? Like he won't take that for this period of time. And we said this when he came in, like he hasn't come here, Cristiano Ronaldo, to not be winning games. I mean, again, hindsight being 2020 is what it is. If we win today 3-0 and Ronaldo's on the bench, he doesn't care. But the fact that, he does start the game on the bench, it's 1-1, even though they scored when he was on the pitch, by the way. Do you see that as something bubbling up, or do you see that as something that he's just frustrated for now, but it'll be fine?
Well, Ronaldo's a born winner, so I think he's always going to be frustrated when a bit like Bruno is. It's, they're kind of, I think they'd probably talk about it a lot behind closed doors because they'll have their own opinions on how results go. But it is a results business at the end of the day. I mean, I know it sounds cliche, but Ollie's going to get judged on results. And ultimately, today, we've dropped points again. And in terms of this whole title race, we've one step forward, two steps back is going to be the story of Man United season for me. I think we will win games of football, of course, with the attacking talent and just the squad in general we've got on show. But we are going to drop points in games. And I think it is frustrating from a fan's perspective. Obviously, I don't know what you thought of the game as a whole, but I think Ronaldo's going to be gutted. Yeah, even, it's a 1-1. Everton will be far, far happier with the point because they would have come to Old Trafford today after what happened in midweek, and especially after going 1-0 down and equalising, and after what happened on Wednesday night, obviously Ronaldo scoring. And exactly, I've completely forgot about bringing up the fact they didn't even have their two star forwards in Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin. And we still, Rondon was still, yes, he didn't maybe offer the attacking threat, but he held the ball up superbly for Damari Gray, who was absolutely phenomenal today. So I think Ronaldo will be gutted, yes, Simon, because it's more drop points. And I think the biggest thing for me as well is always the games either side of the international break, for me, are the most crucial in a season at the start, because you obviously get the international breaks coming in September, October, November. I think the games either side, I think it's really crucial to win going into one and win coming out of one. Obviously, we've got Leicester in a couple of weeks, but now it's, I think Ronaldo will be more annoyed. We haven't got a game now for 2 weeks. So it's kind of, you want a game almost on Wednesday, didn't you? You want a midweek game just to follow up. after drop points. But yeah, it is gutting, but I'm kind of used to it now. I'm kind of used to the disappointment almost.
Yeah,
and we just get on with it.
I think also as well, it's a good point you mentioned about the international break. Say Miasi's in with the super sticker, by the way. Of course he is.
Oh, of course he is.
Of course he is. There's a Man United drop points and he goes, Mum, credit card, bring it over. I've got some messages I want to send. No, I think it's an interesting point you make up when you say about the international break, because now obviously we have this gap of time before our next game, and the entirety of that time is going to probably be focused on the outcome of this game. Yeah. And it's going to be the discussion of that ultimately wasn't good enough. I mean, we spoke briefly before we went live, and this was kind of my feeling on it. And I spoke to KG at halftime on the match view, and I was doing my very, very, very best to not be overly negative, because I tried not to be negative. And at the end of the day, we were winning at the time, and Martial scored a goal. Very happy for Martial. He's taken a lot of criticism, all that kind of stuff. Very happy for him. But I did say at halftime, and this isn't like, oh, Owen, you're a genius, because I'm not. But I said at halftime, like, I didn't think we played particularly well in the first half. And it's kind of just the same of what it is all the time at Manchester United at the moment, whereby, okay, we score a goal, or the other team has a load of chances. They don't take them. Keeper makes some saves. They do some misses, whatever. We score or we don't score. Or it's just, again, I don't want to say individual brilliance because people get so angry when you say individual brilliance and all this kind of stuff. But that's what it kind of felt like today. And the strange thing is, I don't know about you, but arguably at the point of the game, we were playing our best, sort of just after halftime, when Solskjaer was making those subs and we did have a bit of tempo. That's when we conceded. That's when we actually conceded the goal. I mean, what did you make, first of all? We'll focus on positives first. What did you make of the goal for Martial? Obviously, I saw a lot of people on social media very happy for him scoring the goal. What do you make of his performance today?
Well, I think regardless of your opinions on Martial, and, I've openly said on fan views in the past about my opinion of his Man United future, but, he plays for us. At the end of the day, you're going to back him regardless. He's in the team. That was his first goal, I believe, in 8 months. Really? I don't think he's scored for 7 or 8 months. Or at least at Old Trafford. It was great to see him get on the score sheet today. I actually thought, Owen, I don't know about you, but him playing on the left, he looks so much better.
Yeah,
because
yes,
playing on the left-hand side, he looks so much more almost comfortable with that role. And that might be because we've explained that in the past, haven't we, about kind of where he might have his in. Because we've got Ronaldo and Cavani number 9, and they're kind of not going anywhere type thing. Well, this season, obviously, Cavani will be his last. But I think Martial could be deployed on the left. Obviously, we've got Rashford to come back in. But Greenwood, obviously plays on the right more so in that kind of front four. But I think Martial cutting in off the left, he just looked a lot more comfortable, confident on the ball, and there was definitely a more sharpness about him. But I was well happy about him scoring his goal. Of course I am. I'm happy if any player, but especially him, I think for his confidence, hopefully he can kick on now. It's just really as well, because you could see we rotated. I know we'll obviously come to the team that Ollie put out, but I think the reason that Ronaldo was dropped, and the scheduling hasn't been that kind to us, let's be honest. But then again, Chelsea are playing at 3:00 and they had to go to Italy on Wednesday. So it kind of, goes in roundabouts anyway. And we were at home. So, but I do agree with Ollie in the sense that obviously playing 12:30 Saturday isn't really ideal. So that might have been his thinking that Ronaldo came out anyway. But yeah, Martial, I'm happy he came in, obviously, with Ronaldo coming out. And he played well, Martial, I thought, on the whole. And obviously came off. When did he come off? He came off with a knock, didn't he? Early in the second half. But yeah, I don't know about you. I think the left-hand side, he looked much more, he was much more fruitful, and he just looked better.
Yeah, I think he looked all right, actually. And look, we'll get into actually the team selection now. That lineup, when it was released, surprised a lot of people. Surprised me, certainly. I don't think anyone thought Martial was going to play. I think I even said yesterday, Martial's not going to happen. So me in the mud, right? But I think he was one of the players actually that Solskjaer did select today that actually, justified, scored his goal, played well, came off of a knock. That's unfortunate. That is what it is. But the team selection as a whole, I said this before the match, that I'm with you. I can understand the rotation in the sense of, look, we've essentially had 48 hours recovery time, right? And that scheduling isn't kind. I swear before that they'd implemented some new rule that they changed it. I vividly remember
No,
hearing this
I
rule.
remember as well. I remember as well.
Yeah, hearing that rule. And then when they said, Wednesday, Saturday, 12:30 again, not that it's much of an excuse, but I remember hearing that rule. But I could understand the rotation from that sense. But also, what I can't understand when it comes to the rotation is like, so in the press conference yesterday, Ollie goes, we had no injuries, we picked up no injuries. So you're saying everyone's fit and ready to play. That's one thing. Second thing is, if you're saying I'm rotating them because we've got lots of games coming up, but we don't. We have an international break. There's going to be some people that aren't going to travel. And if I'm Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, no disrespect to all the countries, but I couldn't care. Like, if it's a case of, they're tired for their country, who cares? Like, it's most important that they play for Manchester United and they play well. So I didn't get the rotation from that point of view. But in fairness, I don't think we drew the game today because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer rotated. I don't think so. Like, that team he put out still should be good enough to beat Everton, especially an Everton side that has two of their best players missing. They don't have Gomez in the middle as well. So they got some big players missing today. And that side that Ollie selected should be good enough to win. Speaking of the people, though, of that team selection, I guess the non-surprises were McTominay and Fred. And this gets into the Everton goal. What did you make of McFred? And what did you make of that goal in particular, with Fred just getting completely just bullied off the ball?
Well, I'll have to come to the goal first, and to be fair, I cannot actually believe that Demarai Gray, he's very quick and powerful on the ball, but he's not the strongest. And he was up against Fred, yes, but how he won that ball down the byline, I have no clue.
Twice. He gets him on the first time and then gets him on the byline. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and then he plays the ball to Decore. I just think that is my only worry, I think, on the kind of, and Everton did it really well today. I think on the counter-attack, they saw a weakness kind of going kind of playing balls over the top past Fred. To be fair, if you're talking about McFred today, I'm not surprised McFred played, because we've talked about, Donny and this and that and his future and players on the bench that could come in for them. I'm not going to put it all on McFred as such today. I thought defensively, I think Lindelof did okay, but it's just, we switched off. And I know people are going to really pinpoint that of Fred. And yes, it was Fred's mistake that obviously led to the goal, but that could have been any player and then we would have been jumping on their backs. I think Everton actually really worked it out well, just in general with their forwards. And I thought Alan and Decore in midfield, you're talking about Gomez being out, I thought they did superbly well in midfield. And I don't want to, obviously this isn't the Everton show, we're talking about Manchester United, but I think you've got to look at the way Everton pressed us, and I am a little bit concerned. Again, I'll pose the question to you, but obviously now with the big games we've got coming up this month, and the fact we've got Liverpool next to Old Trafford, Leicester away, they have been poor, but Leicester away is always difficult. And Everton, I always felt today we needed to really be ruthless, and that's why I said at the start, because Everton have really been our bogey team. They've got 3 successive draws now at Old Trafford. Away from home, we've been a bit better at Goodison Park against them. But I just felt that I've kind of got off tangent here as well. I know, because we were talking about McFred and stuff. But yeah, I felt that it was just far, far too easy. Yes, it was obviously Fred's mistake, but far too easy with the transition from Gray to Decore down to Andros Townsend. I think a lot of the defence could be held accountable for that goal. But yeah, certainly Fred being shrugged off. I think all of us watching it on TV, and I'm sure the fans at the ground were just absolutely amazed at how Gray got the time and space, to thread it through to the midfielder.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things I would say about Fred and McTominay today. First of all, I thought McTominay had a really poor game. I thought he was really poor today. And the last couple of games, I think he's been a bit off, Scott McTominay. And what I will say about Fred is I think if that is the evidence to me that Fred is not. You can say that he brings energy and he brings passion and desire, like Ollie says,
no doubt,
and all that kind of stuff, but he's not a defensive midfielder. Because if you put it this way, if you had Nemanja Matic on there today, Nemanja Matic doesn't get shrugged off the ball. Doesn't happen. If Nemanja Matic is playing, that's the situation there. And Ollie said it himself in the press conference. Someone asked him, they said against Villarreal, you got picked off quite a few times when it came to the counter-attack. What are you going to do about that? And he said, it's about winning the ball back quickly. Well, Fred didn't do that for that goal. And that goal is ultimately on him. And it goes back to, that's why we would need a defensive midfielder. But again, I said at the beginning of the season, I'm not going to say that, we shouldn't be challenging for, trophies this season because we don't have a defensive midfielder. I don't think that's good. I don't think that's good enough. The players that we have. But I will just say, like, today is an evidence of just like, we know that like Solskjaer likes McFred, but Fred just and I mean McTominay can. This is the thing with McTominay is I don't think he's defensive midfielder. I think he's box to box, and I don't think he should be a linchpin of our side. I think he should be someone that can come in and come out. I think there's way too much almost responsibility put on him. That's not his. I think people are harsh when they go, he's not a Manchester United player. So I'm like, well, I don't know if that's necessarily fair. But like with the Fred thing. Again, like that to me just isn't good enough, and a proper defensive midfielder doesn't get done there. And he stops the counter-attack. The counter-attack ultimately happens because Fred doesn't do his job. End of. That was the situation with that one.
Yeah, but saying that, still from Gray, I'm not going to, I completely agree with your point about Fred, but from obviously the Gray ball, Everton still do really well just to work it towards goal.
I think really well. But again,
I think it's poor defensively from us.
That's the role of your defensive midfielder from a set piece of, okay, if the ball does come out, you have to make sure you're on it. You win that first tackle. You make sure we keep possession or, win the ball, pass it backwards if need be, or you pass it forward again. Because if you don't make that tackle, especially when you get 2 opportunities at doing it.
He could have made the tackle there, yeah.
And you're putting us in trouble. Have a foul, pull him to the ground. How many times have we seen Pep Guardiola sides? Tactical fouling. Oh, they make a living out of it. I mean, that's why, people talk about the green card or whatever, or a sin bin. That's for fouls like that. We just go put them to the ground, end of. I've stopped the goal. I'll take a yellow. And that's football intelligence at the end of the day. Maybe that's just what he didn't have there. Super chat from Andil says, apologize to Martial, Owen. People talking about body language, and he played through an injury and got a goal. He is up to it. I think the reason why people were on to Anthony Martial in his last game against West Ham rather in the Carabao Cup. He wasn't up to it, but I think going back to that, like Jack said earlier on, that's because it was almost like his last chance of playing as a striker, and everyone knows at this point he's not a striker. When he plays in the position where he plays the best, out on the left, you get the best out of him. It's not rocket science. It's not genius. So I think Anthony Martial could have a future at Manchester United if he plays out on the left. Again, the issue is that there's a lot of people that can play out on the left at the moment for Manchester United. But given the fact that suddenly Rashford comes back into training and next thing you know, Martial scoring goals, they're good dilemmas for Ollie to have. They are good dilemmas for Ollie to have. So I don't think anyone ever criticized that, Martial, he's just not good enough. He doesn't have quality. It was just a case of there are people ahead of him and people have questioned his attitude, but I think that's fair. You can see that sometimes in the games, and that's not just like, just because he doesn't show emotion on his face. Sometimes his body language is poor. And that is what it is. But got his goal today, and you've got to credit that. Super chat from United Sweden says, a good manager can make a decent team play good. It's not about the players in our team, it's about the manager. Well, obviously, there's going to be lots of discussion about the manager today. I mean, you said, Jack, that you weren't going to place it completely on the manager, but we did see the similar story today, in my opinion, whereby, again, we play in moments. Again, that first half, like I said, we were 1-0 up, but we didn't play particularly. First half, Everton had more chances than us, certainly. Mm-hmm. And a couple of mates of mine sent me some messages going, we've got that's 60-something possession. And like I kind of said to you before we went live, but what does it mean? It doesn't mean anything, and that's my biggest frustration with games like today or games like midweek where we do win and we do sometimes, I won't say get away with it, but we do just get over the line in the end, is that we can talk and say like, we had good moments, or we nipped it around nicely, or for points in the game there was good tempo, or we had loads of possession. But what does it mean? How many clear-cut chances did we have today where it was like, man, that was a really bad miss by Manchester United, or that was a great save by Jordan Pickford? They're difficult to kind of think about. Cavani header in the first half, the goal from Martial, and then I can't think of another time in the game where I went, I tell you what, Pickford made a really good save for Everton there, or what a terrible miss. We really should have scored that. I can't think of many. And that's a frustrating thing for me. I think it's like you go through these games and you go, well, I think we played all right and we had some good moments and we passed it around. It doesn't mean anything. It means nothing. And like you said, maybe that is ruthlessness. Maybe that is just a little bit of cutting edge or whatever it is. But
I would definitely, in answer to your question, I would definitely put today. And as I say, again, I've voiced my opinion on the manager and kind of what I think of him tactically. But I actually think today is, of course, it's partly Ollie's fault. He puts the team out at the end of the day. But I genuinely believe it was just that clinical nature in front of goal. With that front four we had out there, even before Ronaldo came on, we were up against a kind of low block, but I wouldn't even call it a low block. I think Everton didn't sit back, did they really? Because their forward players were still gunning for it, a bit like Villa last weekend. But I still think with the personnel, the attacking personnel we had on that pitch, we should be scoring goals. And that doesn't come down to the manager. I'm sorry, not in, because I actually think the tempo, I was there Wednesday night. I wasn't obviously there today, but I could even see from when I was there live, you could see the groans in the crowd. Like the tempo wasn't really there. And I know there were chances today of attack. Some guy said United 13 shots, Everton 12. I wonder how many of them were on target, because Owen's right. Like, I don't actually. Pogba had one which just missed the did he have one which just missed the top netting? Yeah, the top netting. But yeah, no, I'm not going to put it all on Ollie. If anything, Owen, we've got Eric Ramsey now, our new set piece coach. I wonder what he's actually doing, because I haven't mentioned this point before, but it's not just today. We get a hell of a lot of corners in games, fair few free kicks. We don't do a lot with them. We don't do a lot with them. I don't, you've got Varane in there. Obviously, we have Maguire in there. Didn't play today, but, I'd like us to be a bit more proactive at corners and proactive at free kicks, because, a couple of free kicks that Bruno was putting in, they were just wasteful. Everton didn't even beat the first man. So I don't really know what Eric Ramsey's doing. Obviously he's got this massive kind of pedigree coming into Manchester United from his coaching. But yeah, I think that's another, and that obviously falls under the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer bracket because he's part of the management team. But I'm not going to put this all on Ole today. And as I said, I'm an Ole outer. I've said my views, and I don't want people in the chat to kind of, misjudge my point, because I am still firmly thinking that Ole isn't the right man to take us forward. But today, for me, the tempo was much better in spells. Again, I do agree it is in moments. I think over the 90 minutes, I would actually probably say a draw is a fair result. I don't think when Everton went 2-1 up, I don't think we deserve to lose the game. And I do agree with you, Owen. I don't think... You think of that front four we have, mate. Sancho, Martial, Bruno and Cavani. We should be scoring goals. Like 1-0 up, we should be getting the second, third, killing teams off. And that's where your better teams do that. Your Chelseas and your Liverpools and, your Manchester Cities. And City don't even have a number 9, but they do have Pep Guardiola at the helm. So, you talk about kind of attacking personnel. And yeah, I'm not going to put it all on Ollie today. I'm really not. And I'll stand by that point.
An interesting stat that I saw during the game, or as the game was coming to a close, was that Manchester United have now conceded at least one goal in each of their last 9 league games at Old Trafford.
Yes.
This is the longest run of games without a clean sheet at home in the top flight since February 1971. That comes from Opta. Now, that's an interesting stat. That's a really interesting stat, because that comes at the same time that David De Gea is back to his best. And it makes you wonder, like, how many goals would we be conceding? would it not be for David De Gea? But obviously, that's got to be a concern, right? It feels like whether it's going 1-0 down or just not being, or at least conceding one goal in the game. Like, how do you see us resolving that? Because that's not just a case of people going, well, Maguire wasn't playing today. That's happening with Harry Maguire. He's in the last few games. I mean, how do you see us even resolving that one?
If I were to pinpoint it properly, it's a really good question, actually. If I was to pinpoint it, like, kind of properly, I'd probably have to say our transitions need to be when we're off the ball. I do think, and that does come down to McFred. That does come down to our midfield pivot. So I'm kind of contradicting my point from earlier about I don't think McFred were entirely at fault for the goal. Well, especially Fred, but I think our transitions between defence and attack, I think when we let opposition teams press us, I think that's got to be better, because we're affording too much space. And that may be the last piece of the Man United jigsaw. We need that central defensive midfielder. I think it's because a lot of the goals we concede, Owen, you can see it's kind of just, we're giving the opposition too much space and time on the ball. And we need to be cutting out them passing lanes quicker. I'd probably put it more down to our midfield pivot rather than, we're talking about Maguire and Varane. I still think it takes time, and the injury is unfortunate. It does take time to really get a solid understanding between the two of them. I think they need a run of 10, 15, 20 games together, and then we can judge them properly then. I know we are all going to sit here, and it is football at the highest level, but I think if we're going completely in on Varane and Maguire as a centre-back partnership, give them 10, 15 games. Varane's only just been signed. So
I think he played well today as well, Varane. Again,
yeah,
I've said
that every time I've seen him play, you can definitely tell he's played football to the level that we expect from a Manchester United centre-back. And but if I were to put it down why we're conceding so many goals, I'd probably put it more down to, yes, individual errors in the back four. You could say, you know, the centre-backs and the full-backs to a degree. Sometimes Shaw and Wan-Bissaka are at fault. But even more so, just looking in front of that, I think when you have a Matic in there, as you explained, Owen, you know you're going to cut out them passing lanes from the opposition. And the majority of goals we concede are as a result of the transitions that opposition teams, when they press us, make between defence and attack. And we can't cut them out. Because that might mean when we're playing Pogba in midfield, it's because Pogba's the type of player that is naturally just further forward anyway. So dropping back is more difficult for him. And as you say, Fred is a bundle of energy, but he's got all the gear but no idea, really. So he's kind of just, But I would put it down to that. It's a very good question, though. I couldn't pinpoint it exactly, but if I were to pinpoint it the best way I could, I'd probably say that, yeah.
I think it's a case of, and he kind of spoke about this in the press conference, like I said before, I think it's very obvious what you need to do to get a result out of Manchester United now. It's a case of, okay, they might have a lot of the ball. Are they going to do anything with it? Probably not, you know, unless as long as we stay calm, we stay focused and we stick to our plan, then like you said, we'll hit them on the break, or we'll make sure that they'll make an error, because the chances are they might make an error in the middle of the park, and then we'll hit them on the break and we'll see what happens, or we'll get a set piece. And that's what it comes down to. I think it's just a case of, again, it's not that Ollie's been sussed out, shall we say, but it's a case of you know what to do to play against Manchester United at this point. Interesting point from Joe Keegan says, take a positive. Sancho looked decent at least. What did you think of Jadon Sancho when he came on? I spoke to the DJ about this the other day after the game in the middle of the week, is that it does feel like, doesn't it, that every game that Sancho plays, he plays a little bit better than he played last time. You know what I mean? It does feel like he is progressing at least a little bit.
Yeah, I think he's going to be incremental with him, especially given his age. There's going to be little positive incremental steps. But I think today, definitely, you could see a lot more. He was looking up when he was running down the byline really well. I was gutted he missed that chance at the end when Ronaldo backheeled it. I think a more, like, if he was a bit more confident and just naturally a bit more, I don't want to say aware, but I think if Greenwood was in that position, I'd back him to score that. I think if he drills that low, I think Pickford's got no chance. And I was really, really gutted because it would have been so fitting for Sancho just to score. And I think that was in like the last 5 minutes. And you can see Ronaldo was just, you know, he couldn't believe he didn't, you know, finish his dinner there. But yeah, Sancho, I'm not going to sit here and I've never been critical of Sancho. So I think you've got to give him time. And I really do hope he gets a good, solid run of performances, because I don't know if they're going to be cameos or starts. Like, I don't know if he's going to be a main star. I don't know what Ollie's thinking is. Obviously, with Rashford coming back in, we've got to look at, I think that's something we're going to talk about after the international break in a couple of weeks' time, is kind of what we do with the front four now, because Rashford's back in training. Does he come straight back in? And then you've got Greenwood on the right. Where does Sancho fit into that, Owen? Like,
and
he doesn't fit into it. And Martial has literally just got back to scoring after 8 months. So
exactly.
It's a good thing for Ollie to have in the attacking department. It's a good dilemma for him to be dealt with, to be dealing with.
But it'll be interesting with that, because again, you have all of those options. They're good dilemmas to have, and yet you can't, in games like today, you can't get the extra goal, or you can't kill it off. Or
no, but does that not surprise? Does that not just shock you? Like, that we can't create?
No, I mean, it should. But like I said today, DJ messaged me before the game. He was like, "What do you think today?" And I went, "I don't know," because I have no idea what to expect from Manchester United at this point. Like, again, it just my prediction going into the game was that it was going to be, you know, cagey at points, and we might play back well in bits, and then we might have to make a couple of good saves. There might be some mistakes, and I thought we'd win 2-1. And on another day, it could have ended up 2-1, because in the last minute again, we might have scored a last minute goal, or like I said, Sancho might have put it in the back of the net, or whatever that may be. But it is with the amount of attacking, talent we have at our disposal. It shouldn't be a case of being like, man, I can only name a couple of chances we made in that game. It shouldn't be like
It's
that.
not.
It shouldn't be like that. That's the real frustration for me, is that, again, that shouldn't be happening. That shouldn't be happening. One positive, though, I will say about Ollie today, and I know he's obviously going to be getting slander, is that he did make subs early. I mean, after the mistake for the goal of Fred, I don't know if you noticed, he came off pretty much immediately for Pogba. Pogba came on, which again, I like that. But again, when it came to, because Ronaldo came on for Cavani, that's what I wanted to talk about, Ronaldo and Cavani, because I was saying before the game, I do think there is a system there that Manchester United can play and Ronaldo and Cavani can start together. I don't think they're mutually exclusive. The issue is that with Ollie, it's 4-2-3-1. That's it. End of. No discussion. No, okay, we'll try and figure it out. Because I was talking to Flex about this before the game, and he was like, well, the problem is you couldn't start Ronaldo and Cavani from the start because you wouldn't want to have Ronaldo on the left for the entirety of the game. And I was like, I don't want to play that formation there. I want to play something different. And do you think they're mutually exclusive? Like, do you think it's either you have to play Cavani or Ronaldo? Or I mean, there has to be a solution to that, right?
I think it is, or you've literally summed it up. I think it is ride or die with Ollie. Like, he literally tried 4-3-3 in the week, and we've been crying out for that. He's gone back to 4-2-3-1. He's going to stick with 4-2-3-1. So, regardless of if a system were in place, I'm trying to. Yeah, Ronaldo and Cavani would be. This is what I mean. Cavani genuinely, if you take Cristiano Ronaldo out of the equation, he would start Cavani for most teams in Europe. And that's the kind of dilemma we have as fans, because we're sitting there like, if Ronaldo plays poorly, we've obviously got Ronaldo is untroppable because it's Cristiano Ronaldo. I'll stand by that point entirely. But I think
you'd have played him today.
I would have. No, you know what? I'm going to sit here and say it. When the team news came out, I was shocked, but I felt we still had enough to beat Everton.
Yeah, I would agree.
Without Ronaldo. So yeah. I'm not going to sit here. People, I've seen already just before I came on air, Owen, about people on Twitter about Ollie's decision to bench Ronaldo. I'm not going to put that. I can see the rotation policy there. But in terms of putting them in a system where you play two up front, you kind of have to think we're going to have to neglect, we're going to have to take out one of the other, the trio of the three, because if we're playing, we're going to have to play kind of with a formation with two up front. You're going to have to maybe switch it around in midfield, or maybe we're not going to take Bruno out. We're not taking the number 10 out, but you're going to have to switch something around here or there. And I just don't think, even if Ollie was to do that mid-game, mate, he's not the type of manager to do that. He is ride or die with his formations, and he's stuck by it throughout. Well, when he first got the job, he did play 4-3-3 for a spell, and I quite enjoyed that, and he played really well. And he's reverted to 4-2-3-1, and we never ever see any switches now. So I think it's kind of more. I think if you're saying that, Owen, it's probably more hypothetical, mate. Because you're kind of thinking, Owen, it ain't going to be ever a thing, is it? Ronaldo and Cavani are never going to play together.
Well, I just think this is my thing. Actually, a quick super chat quickly. United Sweden says that's the standard we have for this manager. He made early subs. If that's a positive, we are so F. You know where he's going with that. I get your point. I do get your point that some people will be saying, like, you're saying, oh, he made early subs. Like, it's that's the praise. You made early subs. Good for you, mate. It's like, wow.
Yeah, but we've been jumping on him for making subs too late.
100%. When it comes back to the Ronaldo and Cavani thing, this is my feeling on it, is that, and I've said this speech like 3 or 4 times now, that for me, good managers come up with solutions, right? You go, these are the players I've got. How do I get all of them into the side? Or how do I get the majority of them into the side? If I know that having Cavani and Ronaldo on the pitch means we'll score goals, it means we'll look threatening, because if you're occupying 2 centre-backs with Ronaldo and Cavani, I mean, you'd be 2 centre-backs. You're like, oh, goodness. And then you've got like Bruno behind them or whatever it may be. You find a solution. You make it work. It's not a case of, oh, I play 4-2-3-1, so the players I have to fit into that. It should be a case of, no, these are the players I have right now. What tactics can I play? What formation can I play to fit those in? And that's not the case. And I think it's that this pure rigidity is going to be one of the big problems for Manchester United right now, especially when it comes to Cavani and Ronaldo. We saw it, how the game ended with Villarreal on Wednesday. They were both on the pitch at the same time, and we did look threatening. Now, at the time, he moved Ronaldo out on the left. I understand Fleck's point of view, whereby Ronaldo can't play there for the entirety of the game, and he shouldn't be. He's 36 years old, but he doesn't need to be. You can find ways of making it work, but again, it's a case of, nope, it's 4-2-3-1, and that's it. And I think that's the frustrating thing for me, is that it does feel like at this point that it's just, there is such a resistance to try anything else. You know, that's what it is.
We could just bring up the midfield pivot and go on about that for an hour. Like, I mean, if you want to talk about, you know, resistance, like Ollie would never ever put Donny van der Beek or Matic in the pivot. We know he's going to, the majority of the time in the Premier League and in the bigger competitions, i.e. the Champions League, he's going to play McFred. And we know he's going to play McFred. So I totally agree with your point. I think the resistance is it makes me wonder. I keep saying it. If we had another coach who was maybe a bit more tactically astute, I'm not going to say someone like Thomas Tuchel again, because I keep bringing him up, but maybe he'd switch it up. Yeah, and then they lose 2 games. But yeah, I think it's a very, very valid point.
Speaking of the league, though, because obviously these are points drops against Everton today, points dropped against Villa, obviously dropped points against Southampton earlier on. As you mentioned, we haven't played the big sides yet. We haven't. What is your feelings heading into those big games that are on the horizon? Because again, for me, I looked at the start of the season and went, we have such a great start. We have so good fixtures that, you know, we could be leading the pack. And if we'd have won today, we'd have been top of the league. What are your thoughts when it comes into these big games now that we've got?
Well, my head and heart say 2 different things, because I think we're all sitting here as fans and we all, you know, expect kind of, I do genuinely think against the bigger teams, we are better suited anyway. So yeah. I am going to, we've said that and I'm going to stand by that. But my biggest worry, Owen, is defensive frailties. And just if Maguire stays injured, yes, Lindelof has to come in. But if we're rotating, you know, if we get a big injury defensively, I am going to be even more concerned than I am now. I just believe we have definitely got the firepower to go and beat Liverpool, to go and beat Tottenham, to go and beat, I'm trying to think of the games we've got, City. Because, this is in a massive, massive period after the international break now. And people, you know, are going to kind of talk about Ollie being judged in periods such as this. But this really is massive in terms of the title, if we're going to be genuine title contenders this next month. Because after that, funnily enough, you talk about a tough run of games from the start of December against Crystal Palace till I think it's the start of February. I think we've got 2 months. We don't play any of the top 6.
Right.
We've got, if you have a look, go on. I want everyone in the chat, go and look at your phones, go and look at the fixtures. We don't play anybody in the top 6 because we're playing so many of them in a condensed period now. And I think it really is. I'm not going to say make or break. I think make or break. I think we're all sitting here. I'm certainly maybe exaggerating that point because Ollie isn't going anywhere. I think even at the end of November, I don't see us as the type of team, even the way we've been playing of late. I don't see us the type of, we are going to win games in that period. I don't think we're going to go on a 5, 6, 7 game losing streak. We're not going to, you know, I might eat my heart out now and we're going to sit here and lose 3-0 to Liverpool, 3-0 to Leicester and, you know, everything's doom and gloom. But I do think we've got the firepower going forward. I do think we'll have more space in behind because teams won't be playing a low block. Liverpool are going to press us at Old Trafford. They're not going to sit there. Yeah. You know, I was surprised with Everton's game plan today, how Rafa set up. But Liverpool are going to be going for the win. City are going to be going for the win. And I think crucially as well, Owen, these are home games. We're not going at like with the Liverpool and City games. I'm pinpointing as big games. They are at home, and we've obviously got to go away from home. And our record there has been good in terms of the Etihad. But I think the home games are again crucial because our away form is so good, but our home form's not been great. It's really not been great of late. I just really, really hope that we can put a run of results together that can at least by the end of November, we can sit here, me and you and all the other lads, and sit here and say, you know what? we're still in this, because we could quite easily at the end of November be sitting here like, oh, you know what, top 4, that might just be our level, 3rd or 4th, because we've got Chelsea. I forgot about Chelsea. We've got Chelsea away in that period as well. So by the end of November, I think we're going to have a very, very good idea of where this team's at. But I think it's the barometer we need. I think it's what we need right now. And I do totally agree with you. We've played no one of note that's going to... Because games like today, we've dropped points in. We need to be beating Everton at home if we are serious about winning the Premier League this season. I'm still going to sit here. I'll be interested to know your thoughts on this, Owen. I have got to say, because you're quite level-headed and grounded with stuff, but do you genuinely think that this team's good enough to go all the way and win this thing, to win the league this season?
No, I've said that before, though. I've said that before, that I don't see Manchester United winning the league this season. I don't think there's any excuse not to be challenging. I think with the players that we have, absolutely we should be in that conversation. If we get to December and we already know we're not winning the league,
but we could easily be in that position.
That's the real concerning thing, I think, like you said, that the next 6 weeks or so are going to be really big for Ollie, because I mentioned before that I think Ollie, his future, whatever that may be, doesn't get even really addressed until the end of the season, because I think between now and then we will win games and we will lose games. But I don't But I don't think we're this kind of side, like you said, that will go on this massive stretch of, we've lost like 5 or 6 games in a row and the dressing room's turned completely toxic. I don't see that. But what I could see, and because you never know with Manchester United, especially at the moment, that if things do turn sour in the Champions League and we don't make it through that group, which we should be going through that group. But if we get to a situation when we don't, and then come December, when we're like you said, you've played those big games against those big sides, and it's like we're nowhere near. We're nowhere near. We're already out of the race. Then he'll be in a bit of trouble, I think. But until then, I've said it time and time again, you never know. You never know of Man United because you don't. You genuinely don't. You'll have games like today where you come out of it going, we played all right in spells, but we didn't win the game. And then we'll play City at the Etihad and we'll win like 1-0 or 2-0. We'll be like, what a performance. What a great performance. And it's like, it's kind of infuriating. It's really infuriating. And like you said,
not surprising. Not
surprising. And the frustrating thing would be, again, is that so we would have those big games that in that 6-week spell, we'd get some good results out of them. But then, like you say, we'd have from December to February where we're not playing anyone in the top 6 and we would drop points again. Because that's when we drop points. And that's why, I mean, in fairness, I don't think anyone so far this season, like you can, I mean, I don't know what you think. Have you seen anyone in the Premier League which you can pinpoint and be like, okay, they're flying this season. They're the ones that's really setting the pace. There hasn't really been anyone like that, I don't think, yet. But it's not us. It's definitely not us.
I think I totally echo your points on the whole. We could be top of the league at the end of November and then go into that run of games that I've explained where we're not playing anyone in and around the top 6 and then fall down the table again. It really is. And that's the biggest thing for me and all of us as fans. I think what's been the biggest kind of frustration with Manchester United since... Well, that's the thing. We haven't won a trophy. You could talk about that, this and that. But I think pretty much since Fergie's left, I would even go as far to say that is the inconsistency we have.
Yeah.
Is that we will... I say this to my friends at home and they're sitting there like, United, why are you getting overawed when you've won 5 games in a row and you lose 2? But it's like the 2 games we lost, we really shouldn't have lost because they're up against teams in the bottom 3. And that's no disrespect to them teams because they're tough games. But with, the kind of stature of the club and the players we've got at our disposal, as we've explained, our attacking talent, it really is just a big frustration with me because we will win games of football. And I guarantee we'll get big results. I think we've got the togetherness there. We've got I'd be shocked if we don't get through the Champions League group. I would be shocked. But, in football, anything can happen. But we will win games, big games. We've got Liverpool and City. I think we'll win one of them games. We've got Chelsea in there. We could get a draw at Stamford Bridge. But it's the inconsistency as a whole over the season when we look back on it is like, that period of games is why we lost the league. And last season, I'm just going to bring it back to last season, going on a really decent run over Christmas, lose to Sheffield United in January, everything goes, or early February, everything goes downhill. And that's why it's such a long season ahead. I know it sounds cliche, but we can't just be looking at games like today. Games like today are not necessarily going to define our season right now. It's periods like the one we've got coming up and the one thereafter that we've got to put together a run of 10, 11, 12 games where we win. And City do that. I know you're not saying maybe City have not, I would agree, maybe have not come out of the traps and played the explosive style of football just yet, but we're going to see that from City. We're going to see that from Chelsea. And do you genuinely believe, Owen, that United can win 7, 8 games in a row? And at Premier League games, I'm not on about just in all competitions, because we could be playing, in different competitions. But I just don't see it, mate. I really don't see it. I don't see us winning 8, 9, 10 games in a row and really being up there come February, March time again. And it pains me to say.
This is the thing that really frustrates me, this is what frustrated me last weekend, is that, so Aston Villa at home, that we should be winning that game.
Aston Villa, I know.
If we win that game, you have Chelsea play City. One of them dropped points. It was Chelsea. Chelsea dropped points in that game, so we would have got ahead of them. We'd have gained points on them, right? Tomorrow, who's playing? Liverpool, Man City, big game. One of them or both of them are going to drop points. That's why games like today we should be winning, because we have to. We have to when we know that they're going to drop points. We have to get in front of them, and that's the frustrating thing. Like you said, it goes back to last season of when you think. And Phil used to do this all the time. He would look at fixtures and be like, okay, they're going to drop points today. We've got to make sure that we win this game. Or this game's crucial. It might not look really important, but this game's crucial because we need to, start building a lead. I don't want to be chasing and don't want to be like, we're 6 points off the top, all that kind of stuff. We shouldn't be when we've got the games in front of us that we should be winning. That's the frustrating thing for me. Super chat from Tabraz says, if Arsenal wins today, they'll be 2 points behind. Oh, dear.
Yeah, but I'm just looking at the chat at the moment, and I know I made a point literally about games. People are saying about my point on games like today, and you've just brought it up, and I totally agree with the fact that Liverpool and City, our rivals, are playing each other. But you're not going to win Premier Leagues by being. You're not going to win Premier Leagues in October. And I know that sounds, again, I sound like a broken record, but literally I'm still going to sit here and say it's a long, long season ahead. And we looked at it last year. We were top in January. We were going on a really good run, and then it kind of peters out. I might go back on my point in terms of games like today against Everton. You can't be dropping 2 points at home at Old Trafford, but let's not get too carried away just yet with results here and there. I think it's a long season. As you've said, Owen, Liverpool against Brentford last week. Brentford are a good team, but I never had Liverpool going there and, being in a thrilling 3-3 draw. You'd expect Liverpool to go there and still win because Liverpool have got the attacking talent.
That's why when I see that, it infuriates me because I'm like, we should have beat Aston Villa. We should have beat Aston Villa because they drop points, and that's how you get ahead, isn't it? It's like it's so many times where there might be things like that where we lose and then everyone else around us lose and we go, we got away with one. It's like, we shouldn't be getting away with one. We should be like, that was really good. We got ahead of everyone. And that's just, it's not like that. It's never like that. That's the frustrating thing. But like we just said, I think the next coming 6 weeks will be massive.
It's massive. It is massive. Really
if we do beat a couple of those big sides, then these questions about, tactics or whatever they'll just disappear, But I think so far this season, there has only really been probably that Leeds game is the only game where we've come out of it been like, look, we played really well. It was fairly relaxed, really attacking football, and that was it. Every game so far since then, just constantly, it feels like a struggle. Just always feels like a struggle of just like last minute penalty save, last minute goal. And don't get me wrong, love the drama, love the euphoria, but every game is just like constantly like a grind. Just like, okay, we'll get through it. And maybe we drop points. Or against like Wolves, we won it, didn't play well, nicked it. Southampton got an equaliser, didn't play particularly well, but okay, we'll take a point. And every game at the moment feels like that. But like you said, I guess it's a long season ahead, right?
It is, mate. It is. And I know we can't wait for what's going to unfold, because I think one thing you're guaranteed with this team is unpredictability.
Yeah,
unpredictability.
Exactly. Like I said, whenever anyone asks me, what do you think the score's going to be today? I go, I have no idea. 2-1. So I just keep going with 2-1. And recently it's been right. But apart from that, no idea. But look, guys, we've been going for nearly 50 minutes or so. So we'll wrap things up here. Of course, Flex was in the ground today. So he's going to be outside talking to everyone for the fan views. Be interesting to see what a lot of people said that were inside the stadium. I'm sure we've got a lot of contrasting opinions there, so that's going to be very exciting too. So be sure to smash a like on this video. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. You'll see when all of the fan views go up, as well as Flex's view when he wraps it up, which is always quite interesting. I always like the one when Flex does the wrap up outside the stadium and it's really late. Did you see the one the other week when they turned the lights out?
Yeah. So they're just, it's kind of after hours.
It's tremendous. But it'll be interesting to see what people say. Look, even in the week after the Villarreal game, there was lots of different opinions. There was a lot of euphoria and a lot of people being quite pragmatic as well. So I'm fascinated. I'm fascinated to see today what some people are going to be saying, because I think, well, we've seen it in the live chat. We've seen it on social media that people are going to have.
No, it is two. It is definitely 2 drop points. I'm not going to doubt that at all. But I'm not going to sit here. I'm sure we'll explain more on the shows to come. But I'm not going to sit here today and be kind of completely critical of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But I think it's a massively important period now, and it's just a shame. I think all of us can agree on one thing: it's a shame we couldn't get the win before this 2-week break we've got now. And we'll just have to see, Owen, mate. But good to speak again.
Absolutely. So as always, guys, be sure to smash a like on the video. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. We're out of here, but plenty of more content to come.